Okay, this is the e-NABLE Hangout On Air for the R&D group for 2015, October 12th. So you said in the comments that you had something you wanted to show us, Dean?
Me?
No, Dean.
Oh.
You still there, Dean? Let's get his headset off. We'll get back to it. What did you... so we were going to try to invite Justin... How is his last name pronounced? Laviguer or Laviguer?
I think it's Laviguer.
Laviguer. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, my pronunciation of French words is pretty terrible. And it's embarrassing. I don't like to mangle other people's names. It seems disrespectful, but I tend to do it a lot. Let's see.
Dean, can you hear us? Huh. He may be frozen.
No, he's still moving.
Not for me.
No, he's still moving for me.
Okay.
No, he's not hearing us. Oh, that would explain it. Yeah, he's got his mute on. The headset not working. Can you hear this at all? Do you hear us at all? If he plays a YouTube video in another tab, can you hear it?
I'll give it a try. Can you hear me now?
We hear you fine. Well, we can hear him fine.
Yeah, there is something I can hold up to the camera and talk. So if you're hearing me okay, I'll just go ahead and do that. Thumbs up, good.
Yeah.
This is the hand I've been working on. You'll notice that the fingers are different. They've got ovals instead of anything else. They're flexible. They're made out of polyurethane. And as such, they have a grip combination. So they work like the standard hands, but they're conformable. You can see that they can compress easily. The brace is very small, thin, is also conformable. And it uses a whipple tree for proportional fingers. It's very tough to do this to the screen. I'll try farther back. Yes, it's printed. The fingers have several advantages. One, they just snap into place. So you can see I've just detached the thumb, and they have a tab that goes into the palm. So that just snaps back in place. You can also, this is the standard position for the thumb, just like we normally have it, but if you need to, you can move it to a different position, farther away or closer to the palm. That's a standard, and that's closer, so you can see where the palm would be. That goes right into it. The bracer is so small and light, I may have to beef it up a little bit, but because it's flexible, it's much more comfortable. It's very light, and with only 2 connectors, it's easy to do, to string it all. And finally, the fingers are printed as a whole. There's no assembly. So once a finger is printed as a whole, you just slip it into place and run your monofilament through. You can see the channels in the palm. This is a standard Osprey palm that's been modified for the fingers to fit into it. I haven't done hardly any testing. It has some tactility that is not normally present in hard plastic. It should be strong enough to pick things up handily. Pardon me. And it's pretty cool, but this is the first time. I've literally just finished this. So this is the first time it's been shown at all, and I haven't done any major testing. I'm going to change the design just a little bit to get a little more flexibility in the fingers, make a thinner hinge, so there's not, it takes a little bit of effort to close it. I want to get it down. Man, this is a tough thing to work with. So, that's what I wanted to share tonight. It's kind of a cool thing, and I'm very pleased with how it came out. I think it has some potential in a lot of ways, both for ease of printing, ease of assembly, and finally, the ovals of each finger can be used as points to add tools to. Lydia, I could try and pick something up on camera, but I'm not sure what I'm going to pick up. How about another finger? No. All right. Here's a bracelet. No, I'm just putting that on there. That isn't picking anything up. As I say, I've got to work on this. However, I think it's going to be exceptionally functional. When the bracer is actually on the wrist, it is quite rigid. And so strapped in place, it's going to work great. The Whipple tree is just does the proportional fingers. See that? And the thumb is independent of those. So, this is a standard size that you start with. This is just a basic osprey and everything. The palm plate is rigid. It's in PLA. And so this would be... Yes, osprey, modified to take the snap-in fingers. Any other questions, thoughts? If anyone's interested in this, I'd be happy to send the files, but I'm still developing. It is a little different than an osprey, and it certainly uses a different brace setup and all. Any questions? I do wish I could hear you guys.
Oh, you can't hear us.
Right. You can't hear us. We can hear each other, but
Bye.
we're not getting audio.
Thanks, Les. I've enjoyed watching your stuff too, and you got Wi-Fi everywhere now. I did start a forum post. It's on the e-NABLE General forum. I haven't gone into the R&D forum. If anyone replies to me there, I will email you back with the STL files, and you can experiment to your heart's content, because it needs a lot of testing. Yes, enablingthefuture.org. Skip Meese has gotten us the file, and he's going to try doing some of this in PLA for the flexibility. But I used Sane Smart Clear TPU, which I am very impressed with. It is incredibly strong. Stephen emailed me too and said he liked the idea. I did not find it hard to print in TPU. Once you get your temperature right, it printed great. The fingers needed a little cleanup, but the gauntlet didn't need any. This is as it came off the printer. I haven't done any cleanup on that at all. And this is just done on a standard Cartesian printer. I also have a Delta that I'm using that I printed the hard plastic parts on, because the Delta has a Bowden, and I can't quite get that to feed yet, though I'm close. The filament is something I got online. You can just Google Sane Smart, S-A-I-N, Smart, and it's their standard clear TPU. Exactly. Thank you, Storm. Or Trouble. Yes, the fingers are quite crystalline, quite clear. So you can see colors through them. Might be fun to put a few LEDs here and there. However, I think it's going to grip quite well. In the grip tests I did just on a single finger, doing it like this, it's incredibly strong. So if there's enough leverage in the mechanism itself, which I think there is, it should be able to pick things up handily and also serve as that support for a bicycle handlebar or whatever. The fingers can be made different sizes, and so you could have, theoretically, a hand that had a regular first finger, longer middle, regular, shorter, little finger, shorter thumb. You could mix and match pretty easily because they all just snap in and out. And again, it only takes one knot on either end, so it's exceedingly easy to assemble. Well, Les, I enjoy chewing on hands, and I've been eating plastic for years now.
Let's come back.
Yeah, the flexibility should grab well. I think it will have some adaptive qualities just inherently in the material, and if you look closely at the, when it's fully pulled, it will, yeah, I can't show you.
I
It
suppose I
will
should read the things I
deform
say.
just slightly in
We have
the
an audience
inside
here.
oval. Not to any damage or anything. This stuff springs right back. Cannot believe how strong this stuff is.
Cool.
You know, it doesn't break. I'm pulling very hard right now. It does not break. So, there you go.
Good to know.
That's what I wanted to share tonight.
Rah.
Thanks. I know there's others that need things too. I wish I could hear you. I would be interested in weight tests too, both with strength of the fingers, also with pull and resistance in pull. I think the slightly thinner hinge right here between the ovals will make a big difference. And if we can get some other people trying this stuff out, it is very cool. I'm just so impressed with it. I've been making a lot of hands for some time. Yes, well, Skip is going to be working on this design to try it out on his end, so we'll see. I did, and I was not able to get anything on YouTube either. This is an ancient laptop that I haven't used in ages. I just got it up for tonight. So there could well be a problem with the sound card or whatever. Anyone else unable to hear?
We hear you fine.
I can hear.
Okay. Well, I'm afraid I'm going to have to leave because this is no fun. You can hear me, but I can't hear you.
Oh, wait. I have an idea.
I will keep you guys posted in the general e-NABLE.org, but I'd also probably start a link on the R&D forum, which I didn't know about until just this evening. I could watch it on my phone at some point, I guess. Oh, I could try that. I hadn't even thought of that. You guys, you techies, you're so cool.
What did you say? Oh.
There's Justine. New post. Troublestorm. Here we go.
I knew that was going to be brilliant, Lydia. I said, wait, I have an idea.
Link.
Yeah, I'm good at miming.
Yeah. We have all this technology and we're still learning how to use it all.
Yep.
That's the case with what I have for show and tell.
Mm.
Yeah. It's like you've got all different devices and how do you
I have
make
to
it work
open
together?
update our Hangouts. Welcome. Okay, confirm. 31 new messages. How did I do that? Here we go. Ongoing call.
I don't know if he's in this window anymore, but I posted the
Ha! There I
The
am.
feed to the
Links in
live
the-
feed. Yeah, but it'll be delayed.
Can I
It'll be
hear?
really weird to watch it without being inside it. It's really
well.
weird.
Sure.
It's just a thought.
But that's pretty awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing more of this.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm joining.
There it is.
Well, you're here twice now.
Yeah.
Ah.
Can you hear us now?
There you are.
Oh, there's a wild echo going on.
Hi.
All right. Well, now that I'm here, you guys can continue with your
No worries.
Hey, that worked.
Yeah. I muted your other one so we don't get the feedback loop.
Yeah.
Try
So
all your devices.
or mute my, let's just get off of this. So that one's gone.
There
Yay.
you go.
Yay!
Is that better?
Yeah. I like the
Yep.
hand.
Can you hear us now?
Yep, I'm still here on the phone.
And you
Yay.
hear us, that's good.
Cool.
Yeah, it's harder to do the text sidebar chat when you have the phone on than it is on
Well, on
the
some phones you can't even access it.
right.
Couldn't quite hear that.
I said the sidebar chat is hard to get to on the Hangout app on the phone.
Yes, I bought a new computer, and it turns out it doesn't have a camera in the monitor.
That's weird.
So yeah, that's okay. Got a great deal.
Oh, yeah. Well.
Yeah. So any other questions about this new little thing?
Mhm.
That's been very interesting to me. I've been thinking about it for a long time, and it's just really nice to finally be able to show. I've had a lot of printer trouble and other things. Nice to be able to bring it out in the air tonight.
Yeah, I always like the alternate finger designs, and it always makes me wonder if you did, instead of just 3 knuckles, if you did like 4 or 5, it would reduce the leverage of the grip, but it would increase the way it wraps around things better. They're always interesting things to experiment with alternate finger designs.
Yeah, I've long thought the flexible materials had a potential, but I've been unable to use them very effectively. I've tried all the different Filoflexes, Filoflex. Haven't been able to do them effectively. So this is the first one I've printed easily.
What kind of, I mean, this may not be an issue anymore if you can use the filament you've just used, but regarding flexible filaments, what kind of 3D printer are you using?
The one that works with this is a direct drive Robo. It was the initial early one that was fresh out of Kickstarter and needed a lot of attention.
Robo 3D. I had one.
What's that?
I see. Robo 3D.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my first printer.
Hmm.
That was
Yeah.
my first printer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric was on here a couple weeks ago, if not the one before, and we had a nice discussion about about which printers are able to do the flexible filaments and which aren't. And there was something about having the Bowden version and not being able to do it with that one.
You could do it. You have to get a TPE tube right up so that it accepts the filament directly from the bottom of the extruder wheel.
Right.
No, I'm talking about Filoflex and NinjaFlex.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
The
I haven't had much success with those, but the same principle holds true.
Oh.
Yeah. The difficulty most people have is if there's any gap between the end of the cable that it's feeding in through and the hole in the extruder that the cable goes into, that it can flex or bend or not go in straight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, flexible filaments are basically like printing with spaghetti.
Right. If you can pull it into your extruder, you'll usually do fine. If you are pushing it into the extruder, you need to make sure that the end of your cable that is being pushed down and the opening on the extruder are right next to each other. Or make sure that there's no gaps between the extruder and the hot end.
Exactly. You've got to eliminate that gap between. It isn't so much getting forced into the extruder. It tends to ball up when there's any room for it to do that. The Sane Smart that I used on this hand is a little stiffer, and as such fed more effectively for me. I'm putting my ears in now so I can hear you better.
Okay.
I want these, but I can't wear them with headphones on.
What? You don't like showing us your hair?
Yeah, I'm just falling apart on the hearing department. Alright, back.
A few months ago, I bought a reel of what was listed as flexible PLA. I had to go with Ninja Flex about a year ago with minimal success. That whole balling problem with it just not feeding comfortably into the extruder. I've not had much time to play with the flexible PLA, but it seems a little stiffer than the Ninja Flex, and was wondering whether that might be a little more successful. Has anyone else had to go with flexible PLA? This is from E-Sun.
Can you put the information in the sidebar chat so we'll have it in our notes for later?
Okay.
Thank you.
E-Sun.
There's also semi-flex. And I wanted to add to the, since we're repeating what we discussed at that point, it's helpful to go hot and slow. If you just remember hot and slow, you know, boost your temperature up and run your extruder as slow as you can. And your whole print speed as slow as you can. Then you're going to have less tendency for that to ball up. Because I had printed my own extruder from plans that were provided by Printerbot, and it still balled up. And so I learned that I had to go hot and slow, and then it was okay. So, but I don't know if the semi-flex is similar to the flexible PLA. It might be.
I would imagine that we will run into the same problems with any of the flexible materials.
Yeah.
Safe guess?
Yeah. And then a 3mm device would probably have more flexibility, less flexibility at that juncture. So
Right,
I would
the thicker
think,
filament would.
yeah, thicker filament would.
Yeah, I'm still running on 3mm.
That should help then.
Fileflex does have both their standard one, which is quite flexible, and then a semi-flexible one. I was unsuccessful with either variety, but that doesn't mean you won't be.
I ran the flexible Fileflex, and that's where I had the trouble, so I learned to go hot and slow. But I just ordered some Ninja Flex. I can't wait to try it.
Yeah, let us know how it works for you.
Yeah, that segues into this thing I made. Did I cover this, or should I go ahead next?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm done.
Okay.
Is your camera on? Oh, there you are. Okay, it was just the little thing was frozen for me.
Oh, I was frozen?
In the small, but now that I've got you big, you're moving again.
I'm large.
What's
In many ways. All right.
that?
Did I show this before? I know I posted it.
Maybe. Go ahead and explain it.
I'll give a review real quick.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the wireless most of the time I have, but this is real quick. This was what I call a thinking stick, like a demo, something in the neighborhood of what I was trying to make. but not really something close.
Mm.
And the idea is you could put this between your fingers and pretend it's a finger, and then when the finger bends, do you feel it?
Mm. Oh,
And sure enough, you do.
Oh, sensor feedback.
very
Sensor feedback. So the idea is, if the tail might not be so long, or in some cases it might be, and this would be less of it would be more of a handshake than it would be fit to the person.
right.
But hold on. Yes.
You got your light on.
Yeah, I'm in a meeting. Yeah, I need you to take this. I'm dropping that off. Thank you. So I just made this thing. Okay, appreciate that, Carol. No, over here. Thank you. I just made this thing to do some thinking with and slip it between my fingers and try it out. But the idea being that we could make a hand with some type of finger that comes back a little bit, whether it was in flex or not. But I would think flex would be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It might also be possible to put a socket on the bottom side of the fingers that you could hook a piece of flexible material into.
Yeah, there we go. That's something. That's exactly that's a great idea, because then we could take a standard hand design, just drill a little hole in it, and put a screw and add that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great idea, Trouble. Thank you. And then, so that's, in fact, one like, do you mind if I write up on that?
Go for it.
You want to?
No, you go ahead.
Oh, okay, I'll pursue that.
Yeah.
Because it looks like I'm going to be able to put a little bit of time into e-NABLE in the coming weeks.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you. Because work is easing up. The other work is a thing. So we get funding.
Mm-hmm.
We made a big crunch, and we crunched. We crunched, and we crunched. We're done. Crunch.
Yep.
So,
Very cool.
and the main thing to show is this little guy getting back to electronics mounted on hands. It's actually pretty big to put on your wrist.
Yeah.
Actually, I can put it on my hand. But most of that is, you know, unnecessarily large batteries, extra PLA. You can see the thickness of the PLA all over the place. And the fact that I included the programmer as well as the necessary part. Also, it's a lot thicker than it needs to be because I've got a breadboard in there.
Mm.
Right.
So the only thing that really needs to be on here that would go on the back of the hand, if we, I'm telling you details before I tell you the overview. The overview is we want to make the hands phone home with usage data. That's the big picture. And I think it makes sense to make them phone home with other things as well, like emergency, you know, or calling home because
What kind of
cell
usage
phone
data are you thinking about collecting? Are you thinking about amount of pressure that is being sensed when the fingers are coming into resistance? Are you thinking of
well, I think we could go with a lot of different ways, but what I was really mainly thinking of was something very inexpensive, because the only thing that John said when he saw me post about this was, how inexpensive can you make? How small and how inexpensive can you make it?
Right.
And so I'll address those questions.
Yeah.
Inexpensive. What?
I was going to say there are plenty of materials that, when they are stretched, can generate an electrical signal, or
Yes.
change resistance when they get pulled on, and you could easily, I don't know, wire a loop through holes drilled through the material on either side of the strings that go through it. And that
Yes.
gives you some data as to how much pressure is being applied on each finger or on the fingers as a whole, or you can put it elsewhere in the whipple tree and get data like how much each
That's
of
a
the
good
hands
idea.
in the whipple tree are how much pull or how much pressure is being put on the fingers when you grab things and squeeze. And that could give us some interesting data as to how much pressure is going on the fingers, and I'm not sure how useful that data is going to be, but it might be interesting to look at. It would give us
Well, I
some detail
agree.
as to how the hands are being used anyway.
I agree that that would be a very inexpensive and valuable sensor to use. Now, the least expensive of all would be, say, monitoring the battery battery voltage, because that's no parts at all. Well, it's a resistive divider, no, it's no cost almost. And that way we could tell if the hand was being used at all, if they bothered to recharge it, then we can add that sensor, and another sensor might be, you remember before I was working with the capacitive sensors.
Right.
That could indicate usage at all, or proximity kind of stuff. A temperature sensor that senses the temperature of the environment is an option. I'm sure there's a lot of possibilities. Light sensor.
I could see the idea of having an app on your phone that can alert you with a notification when the battery in your hand is starting to run down, or
Yeah.
I can see a lot of data, not usage data, but just operational data that would be useful to somebody who has one of these hands.
That's
Just
a good point.
being able to use Wi-Fi or Bluetooth to communicate with a phone, I could see a lot of just battery status and yeah, I don't know what else. Maybe programmable adjustment for grip strength, which I mentioned in comments on your original post.
Well, funny you mention that. That's what I got going here. It's all colored, it's like rainbow because of the polarized filter on this phone. But if we could, it's just text, and when I hit scan button, let's go. It loads a different text. Let's see if that does that. Or maybe it already did. But anyway, the point being, it's not going right now.
Telnet window? I noticed 192.168 addresses. Is it just a terminal connection, or is it?
This is pretty cool. The way I have it working is this guy. This is an IoT ESP8266 chip.
Right.
Okay, and I have it configured as an access point using Arduino programming.
Right.
Which you could use any of the languages that are available for that chip. There are several. Well, there's getting to be several now. After the chip's been out for a year, I'm told. You can use Lua. You can use C++. You can program in bare metal, which would be assembly, and you can now program in Lisp and MicroPython and Arduino. So I'm using Arduino for now. What this device is it's an access point. I can go on this phone to the place where you decide, you pick which router you're going to connect to, and this shows up as one of them.
Nice.
So, that way you don't have to be on somebody's network to bounce signals off of it to go between your phone and this thing. This thing will talk directly to your phone.
Can that sensor, can that
ESP chip?
Yeah, that ESP chip, is it able to be on multiple networks at the same time? Can it be connected to your house Wi-Fi at the same time that it's being a Wi-Fi hotspot?
It's capable of acting as an access point and a client.
But not both simultaneously.
It can be a server and a client simultaneously, and I don't know if it can be an access point while it's also being a server and a client.
Okay.
I do have it being an access point and a server at the same time right now.
Right.
So maybe that helps. When the client comes in, the phone is the client. And
yeah, I'm imagining that mostly I'm asking about antennas. Is it able to be on multiple Wi-Fi networks at the same time, or is it either an access point or a host on a Wi-Fi network, and not both at the same time?
I think it's either.
Okay.
But it can switch modes. So it can change as a function of time. But the other thing we can do is use two chips. If we desired that functionality. So listen, so does that answer your question?
I think so. Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking that if you're using it as a Wi-Fi hotspot, you're not actually getting internet access through it unless you've got another network interface on it. So if you had two of them, then you could probably, your phone could sync with it, and it could sync with the local Wi-Fi, or it could have a Bluetooth chip on it, and then it could connect to your phone's Wi-Fi network through Bluetooth, or it could, and then provide its own Wi-Fi hotspot. I'm not sure if hotspot is the configuration we're going to want to use if we're gathering data with it most of the time.
I don't know.
If their cell phones are going to be accessing other networks.
I just did what works, because where I'm at in this nursing home, they have a very restricted network, and you know, I've even had clearly legitimate sites not go through the filter. Right. So the filter is obviously preventing this, or I can tell, you know, that the filter is from passing traffic to and from the iPhone or the computer when they're on the network. Right. So in order to make them communicate, I had no choice but to use an access point on this guy, and then connect the phone directly to it. So we could have both modes.
Okay.
That would be, you know, as always. But, you know, let me just say that the capabilities are endless with this thing. It's really incredible, and it's so inexpensive. To address John's question about cost, we have a minimum cost around $2.57 that Nathan found. For what's that?
I said, yeah, they're dirt cheap. They're really
dirt cheap.
High functionality little network components.
But this module I paid $10 for. I paid $10 for this module because It's got a regulator, diode O-ring capability. One of the big problems with these devices is they're 3.3 volts, so they're not 5-volt tolerant. So they won't talk nice to 5-volt stuff like USB.
Right. So the Adafruit version of
it has.
all so the Adafruit version has all the voltage regulation handled on board, right?
It has the voltage regulation, the level shifting. It has diode O-ring of the battery. With the I can hot swap this. I can just put when I want to charge it up. If these were rechargeable batteries, I can just plug in the USB cable and then pop out the batteries and recharge them. Or I can put a recharging circuit on it. I should have a switch, but I don't have any switches. But, not really. But, you know, I should have made a switch out of PLA. That's what I should have done. I made the battery holders out of PLA and everything, so it's cool. But anyway, so there's that capability to do the hot swapping. It'll still work. I've tried it many times and it did. And what else? It's made to be an Internet of Things chip, and we have a thing, a hand or an arm. So that's cool. So $10 for the full blown. You get all the bells and whistles, and then $2 and $2.50 for bare bones straight out of China. Wait 3 weeks to get it, kind of stuff.
Right. Buy it bulk
and I'm sure
build multiple devices.
Not sure what model it is. Yeah. And then as to size, the unit is about 5 centimeters end to end with. See if I remove this programmer, you can see the device on a breadboard there. There's the breadboard part, and there's a device. It's got a connector here for programming, and then it's got the module itself, which is what you get for the 250. That thing mounted on the board.
And the antenna with the waving lines, or the waving reeds on the end.
Yeah, the wiggly stuff on this side here. And the can says FCC. It's FCC approved.
Nice.
I don't know if the $2.57 one is FCC approved. I would think not. But for $10 is. And then that, it doesn't automatically make the hand FCC approved, but it gets it a lot closer to where we're not battling with the FCC and just saying you're putting devices all over the place that are jamming up our networks. It won't be like that. It'll be tested and qualified and meet their approval. So that's a good thing. And that's really about it. You get the idea. I figured I didn't quite understand the response as to whether I should go ahead with the project, but I guess that means go ahead if you feel like it, which is our standard.
Right. We pretty much are a duocracy. If somebody wants somebody else to do something, we'll suggest it, but if you want to do something, we're not going to stop you. Mm-hmm. And I'll be watching with bated breath to see what you come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, I'd love to. I've ordered 4 more of these, and my buddy I did some work for, making a thing he doesn't want me to talk about. He's ordering me 5 as a thank you. So I'm going to have 10 of these modules, so I can program them up and send them out if we get to that point, or we'll see. Let's see what happens. But
Yeah, I'm trying to think what the
so yeah, what's in the sidebar? Okay, they're talking about this stuff. So what are you trying to think, Trouble?
I'm trying to think of the sensor, the tension sensors that I was talking about. Trying to think what a good choice for that would be.
I might have one right in here. Yeah, here's one. I bought this from Adafruit. Also, you know, it's getting to the point. I buy everything from Adafruit. It's
You should buy stock
crazy.
in Adafruit.
They make everything. What?
You should buy stock in Adafruit by now.
I should buy stock in Adafruit. If I had money for stock, I would. If I wasn't so broke. But see, this stretchy stuff.
Right.
And you put little you put mechanical grips on the side of it. You know, you crimps.
Right.
And then it makes it electrically, because it's rubbery.
Right. And voltage, the resistance through it changes depending on how much stretch is being applied to it.
Yes.
Wow.
That's how that works.
How much weight can that hold? More than enough for finger tension?
Let me test it on the end. Oh yeah. I'm pulling on it pretty hard. I mean, this could hold a 5-pound weight maybe before it broke.
Do you can you jury rig any kind of like, I don't think pressure gauge is the right word, but some kind of, it's the one thing that you hook on something and you pull till it breaks.
Oh,
Could I
right.
jury rig something like that right now?
Well, not necessarily right now, but I'm just saying, you know, a way to test to see exactly how much it would take to break it. Trouble, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what the word is for it. It's a tension meter.
Yeah, I bet you Adafruit sells one.
I'm sure we could get a little scale. One of the little mechanics that they use.
Trick.
Yeah,
Scale
yeah.
is what we're looking for. They make tension scales where it's a pulling scale. Yeah, there's
Hard. This thing's not
plenty of
breaking.
tools that you can use for measuring.
Yeah,
for
I bet
instruction.
you could probably Google those and find them for pretty cheap.
I had to pull pretty hard before this thing broke. It broke. It did break. It's breakable. So.
Well, for safety, that might be a good thing.
You know, a typical finger, the ones I've seen, the ones I've printed, maybe not a super finger, but would have broken before that stuff broke.
Right.
That way. It's not winter stuff.
Oh snap!
Oh snap! Oh snap!
Courtesy of John.
In the sidebar. Chuck and Toulis suggests that fishing scales would work for checking the weight that these things can carry.
Oh yeah, fishing scales.
I just remember seeing on the Mythbusters they were testing the, I guess it's called tensile strength, but basically how much would you have to put on it to break duct tape, for instance?
Oh, they probably put a lot of weight on duct tape.
Yeah, well, I just remember Jamie was holding it like this, and it was hooked on, and he just kept pulling it, and then eventually it broke. And then they've done things with like weights on it as well, so they do a lot of those kinds of tests. I just don't know what they call their little rig that they use.
I don't know. Fishing scale.
It's just a scale.
It's got a spring in it and a little not a dial indicator, a little linear indicator.
Yeah, it's got a little analog needle that goes around.
Oh, it does have a dial indicator. Okay.
Yeah, and there are companies that make tension meters that can also do the same thing. They will, the gauge will keep going up until it breaks, and whatever the highest tension that it reached is the number that it'll end up showing when it's done.
Well, once you calibrate it, that stuff does that job.
Right. The material that you're actually holding, that you're actually testing right now, can be used for detecting weight. It's just probably look it up on the spec sheet.
But yeah, there's a lot of ways we could add the capability pretty inexpensively, or if there was, you know, if they wanted to add like something a little more expensive, for $20 you can get a 9-degree of freedom sensor. So you can get it's 3 degrees of freedom for the gyro, 3 for the accelerometer, and 3 for the compass. That's where that comes. Or it's $30 to get altimeter as well. So those kind of sensors are available. I've got a 9-degree of freedom sensor coming in the mail pretty soon. Should be here tomorrow. No, Wednesday. Today's Monday. But the main thing here is to get the network features up and running. But that's that. You know, I don't want to take up too much time with this.
Well, interesting as always.
Thank you.
Not that I understand everything, but you know, I'm sure everybody else kind of has maybe more understanding of some of the stuff.
I guess. I don't have full understanding of it myself. I just try.
Yeah, I was listening closely, and she said more of an understanding. So I think we can achieve that.
Oh, yeah. I guess so.
Anybody else have anything they wanted to talk about or show?
I'm gonna head out and jam to some righteous rock and roll. Actually, non-righteous rock and roll. But I'm gonna jam to some rock and roll right now. So thank you for all the fun, and I'll try to make the regular meetings. You know, now that I'm back in black, so to speak. Bye-bye.
Good to see you, Les.
Bye, Les.
Yeah, I can see a lot of potential for tension sensors. Those would be easy to calibrate, I guess, and if we're wanting to record usage data with this device, I could see it being useful. If we're using motors to control it, then I imagine we would be if we're using a Arduino board on the equipment. Then I could see using the Wi-Fi and an app on your phone to tell the Arduino to shift what kind of gripping mode it's in. We were talking about that earlier with the myoelectric arms. How, not earlier, like several hangouts before, where a lot of the myo hands that are professionally made have 2 sensors, one that you use to toggle which gripping mode you're in, and the other that activates and or engages and disengages the motion. And I could see using a phone to pick a grip mode from a menu would be a useful thing. I could see people making use of that. So does anybody else have anything they wanted to talk about? I guess we should check the QA. I forgot to do that last time.
Oh, whoops. So the diamonds don't have anything up their sleeve this time.
I thought the diamonds did have something up their sleeve.
We were waiting.
Well, it's not me.
If you're
Yeah.
interested, we could take a look at some triple color printing.
Please
Yeah, I'd
do.
like to see that.
Okay, this is almost a novelty compared to everything else we've been discussing, but let me just do a screen share.
Okay.
Share.
Hey, Richard. In the Q&A, Corey Casaneve says that he has rigged up a strength tester. He could test some things if they were sent to him. So
Nice.
I'll mention that to we'll mention it to Les.
Okay, so this is just my my go at a bit of superhero theming.
Very cool.
Right.
Doing a bit of work with multicolor printing. Did some name tags as well. This is just multiple layers. It's a single color printer. It's just my rep wrap. And specifically the Superman logo here, which is printed separately from the gripper box. I've modified the gripper box with a slight indent where the logo would go, but the logo was printed separately with the yellow, then red on top of it, and then just a couple of layers of red, and then a couple of layers of black just to outline it, with a filament change programmed in between. So I just manually edited the G code that came out of Slicer, just
So
to
that it
find
causes
yeah, where the appropriate Z change commands were, and just put the relevant commands in just to home the head and spit out the filament. And it was moderately effective. I put an extra block on the output so that I would be printing not only the actual logo, but the first thing I put on the slicer was just a cube that was slightly taller than the logo. And then the logo came as the second object, which meant that before the print head hits the logo, it puts in a layer on the small block. It's just about 10mm square cube, so that it makes sure that the filament is flowing properly before it actually starts working on the logo. So immediately after a filament change, it's just got a little bit of extra chance to make sure the filament is flowing, so that the logo will print neatly. But the effect was fairly effective. I just superglued the logo onto the back of the tensioner, and it looks as if it's all been printed as one. It meant I could print the gripper box in the standard orientation with the appropriate laying down of the filaments to get the maximum strength, and then take advantage of the most effective way of printing the logo at a different orientation. So
looks good. I really like the way it came out.
So that's the logo. Just produced it in OpenSCAD. Did the original design work in Inkscape so that it could be exported in DXF, which is a trick for getting it into OpenSCAD, making sure that instead of curves, you're exporting a sequence of straight lines, and then build it up from that. So it all just started off with a bitmap that I then traced into Inkscape to get the curves, and then turning the curves into straight lines. And the gripper box was just marginally modified by subtracting the logo from it. And that's the end result. All I've got to show you today.
That's gorgeous, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the usual tricks with exporting to DXF and then importing it into OpenSCAD. But they're good tricks.
It can take quite a while, but I think practice makes perfect. Right,
Yeah,
so that is it from me.
That'd be fun. It'd be fun to have the old e-NABLE hands logo or even the new e-NABLE logo on a tensioner block.
That could be cool.
Yeah, I
Yep.
really like Justine's green version of the e-NABLE logo.
Right. Oh, that I think that's actually a grey one. That was a name badge to be hung from a lanyard that we all wore at the World Maker Fair. It was a silver grey backplate.
No, it's gray now, but before it was gray, it was the green. It was just
Oh, right. Yeah,
the
just
green logo we did,
the green logo. Yeah. Mm.
which is actually flipped. It's actually,
Yep.
I photographed it the wrong way. So eventually I changed it. That's for my events account. It's now the gray one, which is using that same technique they did on the Superman. We made labels like a label on
On a lanyard.
lanyard, and we did it for all of the volunteers and all of the people who helped out at the Makers Fair. So everybody had a badge, basically.
Yeah.
Would you like me to Photoshop some color on it?
We should print it with some color on it. But we did it in gray and black and red.
Okay.
So everything was gray and black, and the
Yeah, a grey background with black e-NABLE name and e-NABLE logo, and then it was a red individual first
individual's
name at the
name,
bottom
yeah.
of it. So every badge was personalised to the volunteer.
it was great. Everybody liked getting them, and I made them for like John Schul too. So he had one, and the Haiti team, I made them for them, and everybody who was at the Maker Fair. It was nice. It was great.
Well, I'm afraid at this point, I think I'm going to have to bow out. I flew back in from London last night, and I'm fighting jet lag.
All right. Well, thanks for showing. And actually, I like the multicolor. I like the change filament on a z-axis shift. That's a fairly simple thing to look for in the G code, and so it's a fairly simple way to modify the output of the slicer so that you can swap the colors when it's time to do it. So yeah, that's really cool. It looks really good. The results are amazing.
There's probably more sophisticated ways of doing that with other packages or maybe some commercial packages, but hey, it works.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there are some slicers that support filament changes mid-print.
It would make sense. It would be a logical thing for them to support.
Yeah. Yeah, since a lot of people use single extruder devices, it would definitely be in use.
Yeah,
Well,
you've got to watch you don't knock the head out of alignment when you're changing the filament.
right.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were joking about. I thought you said watch you don't knock your head out of alignment.
No. The head, the print head, yeah. You gotta watch you don't knock your own head out of alignment, but. Yeah.
So,
You could put an eye out that way.
Oh yeah.
Too late for me.
me and my weird hearing.
Okay, well,
It's
I wish you all a very good evening.
all right. You too.
Night,
Thanks
John.
for sharing with us. Talk to you next time.
All right, night, guys.
Night, John.
All right. Good night, Justine. Freudian slip with what you're hearing, Lydia?
Apparently.
You know, where you say one thing and mean your mother.
Oh dear. So, Richard or Chuck, you guys have anything?
I got nothing.
Okay. Yeah, it was fairly short, but we covered a lot of different interesting things. I loved the fingers that we were looking at the beginning, the ovals, single print, or single piece finger, and all out of flexible filament. I could see a lot of promising uses for that.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to see what Les is playing with sensors and with Internet of Things components.
I wonder if Dean and Peter have been talking since the Osprey is his design.
He was talking about it as if he was talking to Skip. I think he got the STLs from Skip.
Oh. Yeah, well, maybe I'll point out that Peter's the originator, and maybe they can have a nice chat. I'm sure Peter would be really happy to hear about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we would, actually. I think we can probably wrap up. I'm going to go ahead and take us offline if nobody else has anything to say.
Well, did I miss you mentioning or talking about what Corey said in the Q&A?
Oh, right.
I did.
Yeah, he did a list, or he gave us a link that's in the sidebar chat now to forum.makergear.com, a topic talking about testing tensile strength of prints.
Yeah, it's basically the gauge that we were talking about.
Yeah.
So I think there might be instructions on how to make one of these.
Oh, he just commented on the.
I'm not supposed to be reading that side chat. Yeah, I think I do got a question though.
Okay.
Has anybody ever run into or talked about the weight of the palms of the hands, especially in the larger sizes?
Not a lot.
Has that ever been an issue or anything?
Not that I'm aware of.
I was just curious because I printed a bunch of flexi hands, and the high school, one of the high schools that I teach at, they're using them in their robotics class to make robotic hand or arms and hands, and they want to use the hands to be able to pick up a tennis ball and be able to throw it. And everything works out great. I mean, they're perfect, but the weight has been a problem for a couple of the teams. I think that has something to do a lot with the structure they're using, but it does appear to me that they are quite heavy.
Well, since the size is sort of relative to the person that's using it, I would think that wouldn't be quite as much of an issue. You know, you wouldn't want a gigantic hand for a small child.
Yeah, sometimes I don't know. I ran into a couple issues sometimes with the proportion not really being right.
Yeah.
Where the hand looked like it was like gigantic for a kid 9 or 10.
Yeah, there's some difficulty with a hand that is large enough to fit their residual palm inside of is sometimes much larger than their other hand.
Yes.
Yeah, I wonder what people have been doing research-wise regarding that, because yeah, sometimes I've seen some kind of weird proportional hands in pictures too.
Yeah, I was just curious about that. Some of my students ran that by me. They said, "Geez, do some of these little kids have to, carry around this heavy hand?" And I'm like, God, I never really thought about it that way. It didn't, to me, it's no big deal. It's not that heavy, but as you go put it together and put it on a little kid, even a size 1 or 100% is quite heavy.
This may not be the normal arrangement for other kids with deformed hands or damaged hands or whatever else, but I find that I do most of my heavy lifting and carrying with my left arm so that my right hand is free to do complicated things.
Yeah.
So they might not notice because they're used to carrying book bags and all the grocery bags, and they're used to lifting more weight with their off hand to keep their good hand available. So they might not notice the extra weight the way most people would. Although it would depend on.
Well, that's some kind of feedback that I think people, in the matching team are trying to get, but I'm not sure how often people actually give any feedback when they're asked.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I could see that being something that they'd want to ask the recipients.
Yeah, what they think about the weight and what they think about the size of the hand, and yeah, I mean we do want more feedback from the people who are using them if we can get it.
Yeah, that would be really nice to hear something back from someone regarding that.
Yeah, well, Richard, if you'd like, you're totally welcome to do a post in the big group about that too, just to see if you'll get any bites.
Oh, in the town hall meeting?
Well, sure. I was thinking just in the regular e-NABLE community.
Oh! Just go like right into the
Google Plus community.
Yeah. Post onto the community.
Like in the forum.
Not necessarily the forum.
Yeah, when we talk about the forum, we're talking about the forum.enablingthefuture.com or .org. Yeah, that site. When we talk about the community, we're talking about the community on Google Plus, which is also a forum of sorts. But
gotcha.
But when we talk about it, we use the community so that we don't confuse the different boards up with each other.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. I didn't exactly mean the forum. I knew what I meant, but my mouth wasn't saying the right thing.
That's fine.
It's kind of like when I type
we
my
understood what you were saying.
What?
It's kind of like when I type my thes.
Oh.
Right. TEH or HET or.
TEH. I have no clue why that happens. Every time, man, TEH all the time. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, it's probably a brain transposing thing.
I think it has something to do with you, but that's.
Well, it's always your left hand types the T and the E, and your right hand types the H. It might just be a order of which, timing.
No, not hands trouble. Fingers.
Right.
Fingers.
I think we're all a little bit mixed up tonight.
The fingers that are typing the E and the T are on your left hand. The fingers that are typing the H are on your right hand. That might be affecting it, unless you're typing one-handed on the keyboard the way I do.
No. One finger on one hand, one finger on the other.
That makes sense.
And you'd think I would be able to get it right with only having to use one finger on each hand.
Oh, well.
Yeah, if you only used one finger on one hand, you probably would have typed THE correctly every time.
I gotta try that.
it'll probably slow you down a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, for obvious reasons, I have a one-handed keyboard layout that I use on my keyboard. The right-hand Dvorak. And there's a lot of debate over whether a Dvorak versus a QWERTY keyboard, which one is actually better for you ergonomically. But I guarantee if you're a one-handed typist, a one-handed keyboard layout is better.
You'd think so.
The soreness in my wrist when I'm using a one-handed layout versus when I'm using a QWERTY, there's no comparison. I'm not moving my hands, back and forth like that motion as much. They pretty much just stay in the same area, and it reduces the amount of repetitive stress injury to the wrist, and it's a big help. It's also kind of nice that my T, H, and E are adjacent to each other on my keyboard layout. So it's that kind of a motion to type it. It's hard to get that out of order. Okay, I think we have covered everything we're going to cover today, so I'm going to go ahead and take a last look at the Q&A. Yeah, Q&A is empty at the moment, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the broadcast and go offline. Thanks for joining us. This was the e-NABLE R&D Hangout on Air of 2015, October 12th. And see you all. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you all later.
Yep.